If you're a nurse, whether you're fresh out of college or have 10 years of experience, this video could quite literally change your life. Or at least I'm hoping so. Because today I am specifically breaking down how a nurse can make as much money as possible. And some of these options, they surprised me. So I know they're gonna surprise you. Let's be honest, nursing is one of the most important career paths out there. But not all nursing positions pay the same. And nurses especially are not always taught how to strategically grow their income year over year. You may be working harder than one of your colleagues and be making significantly less. I see it happen all the time. And you certainly don't want to be in that position if you're not in it yet. But don't worry, we're gonna fix that. This video is gonna guide you through your standard average nurse's progression route starting from an RN. And along the way, we're gonna touch on each different progression that you can take in nursing. However, I'm going to share several routes that I've seen nurses take throughout my time in healthcare that I'm hoping you haven't heard of before. Later in this video, I'm also going to share information on one business column for nurses that no one talks about. And it's arguably the highest earning nurses in this position, but I'm going to tell you about it today. And these suggestions are not only going to help you make more money, but you may also enjoy the time you spend working in these positions more. They just don't teach nurses this. And that's why I'm so happy to make this video today. I'm actually excited to sit here and tell you about this. Say, I wanna make money. Now, the positions I talk about throughout this video may fit you and they may not. So it's important that you watch and hear me talk about all these positions. Just watch the whole video. It's like 12 minutes long. And at the end, I'm gonna share 3 nursing hacks that I think are extremely beneficial. Like I said, rather if you're a new nurse or you've been doing this for 20 years. So whether you're taking your first step into nursing or have been walking the path for some time, let's dive into how we can make you the most money as possible and find you the correct nursing position that will let you reach your life goals. Most nurses start out as RNs, 2 to 4 years of school, depending which program you go through, if you get your bachelor's or not. Now, on average, an RN starting out can make between $65,000 and $100,000. Right here is something important to understand. You're told these ranges in college, but are they true? No. I was interested in how much an RN makes in the state of Wisconsin versus the state of California. The bottom baseline for Wisconsin is $75,000, while the bottom baseline for California is $100,000. It's a 25% difference. You have to take this into account because when they give these ranges of how much a nurse makes, it needs to be specific to the state that you're in. And sometimes when you're in college and a professor is telling you this, it can be misleading. Now, an RN is not the only position you can start in out of college. And actually, it's not the position that's going to make you the most amount of money. Have you ever heard of a home health nurse? A home health nurse typically works about 5 days a week, regular hours, 9 to 5. Will drive to patients' houses that are recovering from some sort of illness or maybe have some sort of chronic illness and service the patients at their house. Now, these home health nurses are making around $40 an hour starting. And I'm in the state of Wisconsin. This is coming from a pretty modest group out of downtown Milwaukee that runs this. Those home health nurses are making $40 an hour starting. It's about $83,000 a year. So if you don't want to be in the hospital environment, and maybe that's just not for you, look into home health nursing. Home health nursing, home health nursing, home health. Now, the only thing that I would preface here, it may be more challenging for you to then break back into the hospital level if this is a level that you pursue early on. I think there is merit to being an RN and getting that experience in a hospital environment. I'm just saying that this is something that maybe you want to consider giving a try if that sounds more your speed, and working those 12-hour shifts or maybe third shift isn't as much for you. It's something that's out there that so few people and so few nurses are aware of. Now, most RNs work a schedule that is a 3 days on, 4 days off throughout the week. Some RNs that work night shift will make $3 to $4 an hour more than maybe a standard regular shift. After several years, most RNs get burnt out. But what if I told you that RN's not the only intro nursing position that you can take? And this is my first golden suggestion of the video. I don't want to sleep on RNs. It's a great starting position. You can make stellar money, and especially if you start breaking into overtime hours, you can make lots of money. Most health systems will really watch it though, and they'll try not to let that happen. But RN is the fundamental base for all nursing. Where we go from there is where it starts to get interesting. And this is where I think some people get stuck. You don't want to be stuck as an RN for too long. Unless you love it. If you love doing that work, then, and you don't mind the money and the time off, then do it. Don't let me tell you that, but I'm here to make you as much money as possible. The next step is typically an NP, a CRNA, or a nurse midwife. Now, these positions involve a little bit more schooling. Typically, you go back for your master's. I know, more money invested in your education. But we're gonna get to a little hack in just a minute about that. Typically, you have to go back and gain your master's degrees for this. And throughout this, you may pick a subspecialty for an NP to go into, perhaps acute care. NPs you can typically see make around $95,000 up to maybe $150,000, depending on your experience and what specialty field you go into. That can be really important. If you're looking to practice independently or ever run your own business, this is the level where you can start to do that. And obviously you can charge more for those services. Now here's another gold suggestion for the video, and that's the CRNA. Since this is primarily focused around making as much money as possible, this is really your option with the least amount of schooling, the least amount of time invested to make the most bang for your buck. Now, you typically need a BSN, 1 to 2 years of ICU experience and about 3 years, of the DNP program, which totals to be about 7 or 8 years of total schooling. But what's the payoff? What if I told you that CRNAs right away make a baseline of around $180,000? A colleague of mine just graduated and got her CRNA and is making $325,000 a year in Chicago. Starting $325,000. I probably should backtrack and say if you're not familiar with what a CRNA does, they typically handle anesthesia. So you work under high pressure workloads, but at the same time, the amount of actual laborious work that you have to do is low and limited. It's just a higher level of pressure because anytime that we're putting people under, there's a lot of risks that go into it. And there is additional schooling for it, which we want people that are dealing with those kind of drugs to be well educated. Now, what if you don't want to go back to school? What if maybe that's too expensive of a route for you to pursue? Well, here's just the thing. For a small investment of 7 years may seem like a long time, but as you age, you're going to find that what seemed like a long time to you in your 20s is not as long of a time to you once you're 30. I would not let time dictate or be a large factor of where you make your decisions, especially when it comes to schooling. Schooling will always help add value to what you bring to whatever business career path you're looking to pursue. And I have a solution for the money portion. A lot of these health systems will pay or assist for you to get your CRNAs as long as you sign a contract to work for them several years thereafter. Typically, they'll sign you at somewhat of a lower rate, but if you don't want to pay for your schooling all by yourself, these programs are widely available. And I think it's a great way to utilize, that advantage to help push you through school if money is a problem. Typically, I see the full CRNA platforms cost anywhere between $80,000 to $180,000 after those 4 or so additional years, 2 to 4 additional years are tacked on. Seems like a lot, but it's not a lot when you're making $325,000 a year. It's all perspective. So what about a certified nurse midwife? Well, if you love working with babies, then maybe this is something for you to consider. Financially speaking, I don't think midwives get paid as much as maybe they should for the schooling they have. Typically, you can see midwives making between $100,000 and $130,000. 5 or 6 years ago when I was in healthcare administration, I saw midwives making upwards of $150,000. I've seen that come down a little bit. I'm located out of Wisconsin, so it may not be the same for every health system around the US, but typically that's about the sweet spot of what they'll make. To be a certified nurse midwife, it typically requires about 2 to 3 years of grad school, and then you're delivering babies. It's an important job, but you're probably not being paid enough for what you're doing. So let's just touch on the elephant in the room. What do I think about travel nursing? Yes, you can make a lot of money travel nursing. However, I feel like this is highly glorified. If you have a strong family life relations with, let's say, your mom, your dad, your cousins, your brother, your sister, travel nursing can be really hard. While you get to control mostly where you go, you have to look at the pros and the cons. The pros is it's a great way to go travel to new cities and meet other young adults. But my con to that is typically I find a lot of the travel nurses are working 24/7, that they're so involved in that level of work where they are for 3 to 4 month contracts at a time. They don't really utilize their time to go see and experience the city. And by the end of that contract, they may have to move again and not be able to pick up a travel nurse position in that city. The other cons of it is that if you have family that are maybe in your home state or are all centered in one area, it can be challenging to be away from family. You know, money's great, but depression is greater. And maybe I should say happiness is greater. And while you think this is not just me being sentimental, I've seen this time and time again with so many travel nurses where family is a huge issue and nothing is like family. So if you have a very attached family or a very active family, it may be something you want to consider if you're going into travel nursing. Maybe you should look for a different route. But travel nurses make a lot of money. You know, travel nurses can make upwards from about $160,000 to $200,000 a year travel nursing, between $3,000 and $6,000 a week, depending on the contracts you get into. It also depends where in the US you take up these jobs. But for a limited amount of education, you can have a super cool position as a travel nurse. This is the most important part of this video. There's 2 routes I'm about to discuss. One may be more commonly known, but this third one is so unknown that just about no one ever talks about it. And I don't understand why no one is talking about this section of money. And it arguably offers the most upside for anyone in nursing, yet no one talks about it. I don't get it. Let's talk about this other column, which is healthcare administration. And before you get all sentimental with me where you want to work with patients, we're talking about money. Healthcare administration is a great route to pursue if you like working with others and leading teams. It's needed. There is so much administration that is currently in place right now that should not be there. There's also great master's programs that are offered to help you get certificates and majors and masters in healthcare administration. And on top of it, you already have the nursing background. You have the technical side. You can connect so much better with colleagues and people that you manage and people that rely on you rather than someone that doesn't have that technical background coming into healthcare administration. High-level healthcare admins of, let's say, head of nursing, head of lab departments, head of orthopedics departments, I mean, holy cow. They're making upwards of $150,000 to $300,000, depending what health system they're with. And in between those heads of department, there's multiple other locations in healthcare administration that is worth being involved in. And since you're already going to be active as a nurse in the hospital, just go and ask. Ask those people about the path that they take. Ask them what they like about it. Let's get into the third pillar. I'm so excited to talk about this. Do not run when I say this. Healthcare medical sales. Sales, you heard me correctly. Stop. Every time you walk into a room to see a new patient, you are selling yourself to them. You are there to provide them with care. You are selling the services that you're offering them. Think about how many patients you see day in and day out. 10, 20, 30, 100, some of you. You're telling me that you're scared to go talk to 1 or 2 practice managers a day to talk about what they're doing in their clinics and how they're operating? I think that healthcare device and healthcare sales in general is so underlooked by everyone in nursing positions because the term sales scares them. And that's because it is not well informed of what healthcare device sales and healthcare sales in whole really is. And if anything, nurses have an advantage because they have the technical background. So someone coming out of college that is just going into sales and says, oh, I want to go do medical, let's say lab equipment sales. I want to sell lab analyzers. That's great. But as a nurse, you know how the pathologist draws the blood and sends it out and how the results are taken back. Your conversation with a lab director would be so much more in depth than someone that just has a standard education in maybe finance that's going into sales to sell medical devices. But yet you're scared to get into sales because sales sounds like car salesmen just throwing out analyzers and MRI equipment here and there. That's not what it is. You have such an advantage to capitalize in this field. And how much are they making in medical sales? Oh my gosh. Intro roles are making between $150,000 and $200,000. People selling imaging equipment are making $500,000 plus a year. And that's base level. That doesn't count for regional directors, for higher level of sales managers. We're talking about 7 figures for some of these positions. That's not something that's achievable to most nurses. But having that medical technical background makes you so much more valuable in a sales position like that. I would highly recommend looking or at least talking to some of the reps that come in about the career paths that they've taken, because a lot of them have that technical background and they would love talking to you about how they got in it. The only argument I can see is, hey, I love working with the patient face to face. You don't get to work with as many patients face to face when you're doing medical device sales, but you still get to work around them. And you know that what you're providing provides those patients with hopefully a better experience and delivers them better healthcare solutions. So before I wrap up this video, I want to provide the 3 tips that I've heard from being around health systems for the last 10 years that I think are very notable for nurses, and I'm hoping that these are very valuable to you. Tip number 1, stack as many certificates and certifications as you can. If it's wound care, if it's point of care, if it's acute care, I don't even think you can get point of care. Stack them. It will make you more valuable and more knowledgeable, and it will put you ahead of others when you're fighting for certain positions. 2, freelance your skills. You can go do IVs. Some of those IV places will pay $150 to $200 an hour for nurses that can inject. Shop around, go look at med spas, see how you can be active in your free time. You may find a full-time opportunity that's paying significantly more than what you're making now. I've seen a lot of people do it, actually. It's insane. And number 3 is the final and most important one of them all. Make sure you shop around from time to time. Being loyal to certain health systems do not statistically show higher income revenue. It is statistically shown that by shopping around and jumping 2 to 3 years to a new health system will boost your estimated income from anywhere to $10,000 to $30,000 per jump. Now, this may not apply to every situation, but just remember, this is business. Loyalty is important. I think loyalty is a great trait to have, but loyalty doesn't always pay. And you have to question if you truly want to be loyal to a health system, especially that is a business, something that you will have to figure out throughout your career. But I would encourage you to talk to your other colleagues and see what they think and what their experience has been as well. Once again, we're just focusing on making you as much money as possible. We're not talking maybe about the morals of it all the time. So take it for what it's worth. Final thoughts. Your time is valuable. The job and services that you provide to people is extremely valuable. It's extremely important. It is awesome what our nurses do for us and the care they provide to patients. But this is your time. This is your life. You should make as much money as possible providing the services that you do. I'm very passionate about it. I've worked in healthcare administration for the last 10 years and I've had a variety of different positions. I love it. I hope that you were able to find something valuable about this video. I think I'm going to release more videos on maybe breaking down each position a little bit more in the future. So if you enjoyed it, feel free to leave a like. Feel free to subscribe. I hope you guys were able to learn something great, and I hope you go out there and kill it. Thank you for the services and the great patient care that all of you provide. Peace.